Research projects can be a powerful tool for fostering the development and engagement of service providers in delivering services in new and innovative ways. Research projects are typically limited-term pilot studies conducted as partnerships between organizations and researchers to assess the impacts of interventions in real-world settings.
The Career Pathways for Racialized Newcomer Women pilot project was a demonstration project designed to test 12 employment service interventions delivered by 8 service provider organizations across Canada to support racialized newcomer women in finding good quality employment. The evaluation of the interventions took different forms. For some, the impacts of the interventions were determined with a randomized control trial. In others, a pre-post outcome study was used to document participants' changes in outcomes over the course of the study. We found that some service provider organizations in the Career Pathways for Racialized Newcomer Women pilot and in our other projects can be hesitant to engage in research projects for various reasons, including a lack of knowledge of research methods, insufficient infrastructure such as data management systems, lack of partnerships with researchers, lack of resources, and misalignment with their vision.
For many of the 8 organizations selected to co-design and deliver the Career Pathways for Racialized Newcomer Women pilot interventions, it was their first time participating in a research demonstration project involving comprehensive outcome measurements, and in some cases, a counterfactual comparison group. The service partners received support and training to adapt and deliver the interventions, and to carry out the evaluation activities. As a result, they developed essential capacities and gained valuable benefits from their involvement. What benefits did service providers say they gained from participating in the Career Pathways for Racialized Newcomer Women project? Programming. The Career Pathways for Racialized Newcomer Women pilot enhanced service partners' programming capacity in several areas, including their expertise in delivering targeted programs. They learned to design and deliver employment services, specifically for racialized newcomer women.
Specialized targeting programming that often people, myself included, think targeted programming is targeting a specific sector. But what we've learned through this program is you can take those models and those practices and go broader. So not to discount the efficacy embedded in such a specific programming, but I think targeted programming means much more to us now than just sector. We were targeting a specific group of marginalized women. We were unpacking their specific needs, and then we were leveraging the network and the social capital that they brought to each other and the varying employers that wanted to tap into their talent.
Service providers also enhanced competencies in other programming areas. Essential skill training needed to boost racialized newcomer women's participation in the labor market.
Also, one of the things that was also great about this program is incorporating the skills for success piece, like especially the newer skills, like the adaptability, the decision making, the technological skills, the social emotional skills. Those were huge. We when we adopted this in the program, we found that it gave participants a leg up in many things. You can see the difference between people who went through our program and people who haven't.
Expand demand-led programs.
It's definitely helped us build capacity as an organization. And specifically, we've been able to expand the demand-led programming that we've offered at OFE. We added new occupational-specific essential skills training for administrative jobs and also for individuals who want to prepare for roles as childcare assistants, as an example, because one reason would be that our participants were interested in those types of jobs. And then secondly, that there was growing labor market demand for those types of roles. So I think that expanding the number of opportunities that we had, though, for administrative roles and flexible jobs where people who have childcare needs or needed that type of Monday to Friday type of work for their family responsibilities, opened opportunities up for us to expand into things like childcare assistant preparation, for instance. Something else I think that we benefited from is throughout that process, we added new employer partners. And of course, that's a direct benefit to all of our job seekers, but definitely for racialized newcomer women.
So when we were first conceptualizing the program, we actually had an employer who had reached out to us. And this employer works in seniors care. They manage a number of seniors care facilities. There was a shortage, but they also recognized many newcomer wanted to work in seniors care, but because maybe their language was lower, maybe they had insufficient experience, or they didn't have credentials that were recognized here in Canada, as an employer, those individuals were not being considered for opportunities. So at their urging, we looked at creating this program that would help, in this case, women, to get into the seniors care through other means, and through the program support them to get some language coaching, some very specific skills, and some experience.
Learning and using GBA+. Service providers learned about gender-based analysis plus throughout the entire project. They saw its significance in the research results, and with their increased capacity, they applied it in different programs and areas in their organizations.
Through the pilot, we were once again introduced to the GBA Plus lens for the program. And our staff, not only were they exposed to it, they had an opportunity to, on their own, not just the program staff, some of the other staff at Mosaic, because now they're aware of it, were able to take the online training. In fact, our Mosaic's colleagues in our diversity and inclusion department is incorporating that perspective into the work they do. And in some of our recent programs, in language, a project called REACH, the GBA Plus lens is also being applied, and even in programs where it's not directly part of the program, just having that level of consciousness is really helped in our programming.
Pilot obviously, undoubtedly helped us develop a much deeper connectivity to the racialized newcomer women in Canada, particularly the challenges, that they're going through. A much deeper understanding of intersectionality that is applicable to so many realms, from gender to DEI, to ability, disability.
Test and implement innovations more easily.
To how it's expanded our breadth, and as you suggested, has filled somewhat of a gap. But it's also been fun and exciting and part of our learning curve, and has allowed us to practice what we preach when we're future-proofing our clients, which is get outside your comfort zone, try different things, try new things, fail fast, fail forward. And this program in itself has offered that to myself and our teams and our organization.
Building research capacity. The pilot project was also designed to help service providers improve their evaluation capacity and culture. It offered webinars, in-person forums, support, and a community of practice to enhance their ability to demonstrate the outcomes their services have for participants. Service delivery staff helped implement selected research activities. Almost all mentioned gaining research and evaluation knowledge and skills. They now have a better understanding of the importance of systematically collecting participant data and of analysis, and how to use the resulting evidence. This enhanced research capacity had a ripple effect, positively impacting other areas of the organizations. Collect and use data. Service providers in the career pathways for racialized newcomer women learned about data collection practices and the value of using evidence and research results to make continuous improvements and inform decisions and policies.
Being involved in the pilot helped us continue to be focused on data collection, which is something that we're known for and something that we value, but always making sure that we're using that data to establish best practices, and it allows us to inform other programming decisions. And I think at our heart, we love developing and testing new models. And so being able to be involved in a research project that expanded across Canada with similar types of models, and also other models that served newcomers with other levels of education and experience, I think would help compare and contrast these types of interventions and help us on a broader basis find things that work really well to move newcomer women further into the labor market. Being able to quantify our impact is incredibly important to us, and being able to measure our effectiveness. So being involved also helps us to add things to our data collection processes and our database to make sure that we have kind of that robust framework for measuring those lead measures and tweaking things as we go to make improvements. And ultimately, we're doing that so that we can help more job seekers. We've just really appreciated the opportunity to be part of this project in order to get better at what we do and also have evidence that these models work and that they're valuable.
Extend data collection to document participant outcomes and evidence-based practice to other programs and future programs, to help service organizations learn to take a more systematic approach to data collection and become more outcomes-focused in programs and organizationally.
As service providers, we don't have the experience about research. The only time we collect data is really to respond to our funders, and we tend to collect what our funders wants us to do in terms of the deliverables and so on. But the whole experience of the data collection, the tracking, and also using that information for our own planning purposes, and also to really monitor the client's journey, that was a very unique experience for us. And really we, rather than trying to convince our funders, this program really works, it makes it a lot easier when we document, when we track, and at the end of the day, we can actually talk to them and say, okay, this is exactly what happened. We realized that we had a weakness in our programs in terms of how we collect data, what kind of data collecting system we should have in place. And out of that experience, we overhauled our entire data collection system, and we are now engaged a consulting company that's actually developing or customizing a new CRM for us. And very soon we will be launching that. So that's been the whole data collection and tracking the client's journey has been something that is really we learned from this experience, and that's one part that we are integrating in our current program.
Service provider organizations applied for and secured research projects that built on the research knowledge and experience that they gained through the Career Pathways for Racialized Newcomer Women pilot.
Pilot has really helped achieve secure the Advancing Equity for Women and Girls research project. So this project is funded by Women and Gender Equality Canada, and it's a research project. So we were very, very humbled and proud that they chose Achieve to actually carry out this research project.
Besides starting new research projects, several organizations secured new funding to expand and create new programming for racialized newcomer women. Service providers said that the Career Pathways for Racialized Newcomer Women pilot was crucial for them in winning these new projects.
Based on Model 1 of the pilot called Milestones to Employment, we were, our organization was able to secure funding from the provincial government, from the Ministry of Labor, Immigration, Training and Skills Development for a new program with many similarities to how Milestones to Employment was structured.
Connecting with other service partners and collaborating on new initiatives.
I feel that we've made many more connections with service providers across Canada, those who cater to the needs of immigrant women, racialized women. So that is something significant that came through this pilot.
Because this project was also part of a national initiative, we had the opportunity here at Mosaic to meet other organizations, to learn about other programs across Canada. And those organizations, those colleagues in other provinces, we continue to engage with, and some of them we've actually, on other initiatives, have gone together and proposed other services or incorporated best practices from one province into here in BC. So those collaborations will continue to reap benefits for I think for years to come. And I don't know how to measure that other than to say that our number of partners have really increased through the relationships that we've gained through this national project.
Why is the capacity building from the pilot project significant? Service providers applied evidence-based practices that supported them to effectively address issues and improve services and participant outcomes. The capacity they gained from their involvement in the pilot also led to new opportunities.
We want to make sure that where we're putting our time and our resources is going to create impact, and that the things that we're offering collectively are making an impact. So when we have an opportunity like this to take part in a project where we can develop and deploy a new model and have it evaluated and be able to establish that it's creating the desired impact, and then also just again the way that the process works or in the milestone approach that we're using allows us to have those kind of checkpoints along the way so that we can also make those tweaks or system changes throughout the lifespan of the project, so that at the end we've been making improvements, but also identifying kind of those best practices, and then being able to share that information with others and even across our organization in other projects.
It's about the lessons learned, the whole data collection, our experience, even building similar program, the SDI, all of those things are benefits to WellSkills.
Challenges in participating in a research project and how they were addressed. Service provider organizations often face several challenges when participating in research projects. One of our service providers spoke about the challenge of measuring and evaluating program impacts using a randomized control trial, where some participants are selected for the intervention and others are not.
One of the challenging things for us was to have these two groups, the control group and the program group. And as a service provider whose aim is always to do our best to get out of our way to include everyone in our service delivery, this was a different experience because we have to accept everybody or register everybody, and then we will have to say no to the other 50% because they will be in the control group. So that was quite different in terms of how we deliver services to clients. It's also challenging in the community because the clients, they don't really appreciate why we had to do this. They're looking, they're basing their view on the basis of I need this program, but I've been told I cannot take this program. We felt like you were not really challenging us with any of those things, but they were very open, very supportive.
Despite the initial challenges, with implementing a randomized control trial with a control group and other related challenges, service providers now understand and value the importance of having a proper counterfactual to measure the impacts of the pilot. Furthermore, they recognize the value of research in improving their programs and would participate in another research project.
Overall, this approach for us is really evidence-based, proposal and program planning, and also rationalizing in terms of why we need the resource we need in order to make a greater impact. So that has been a significant impact. Again, it is definitely learning from the whole experience.
Service provider organizations have significantly enhanced their research and other capacities through their involvement in the Career Pathways for Racialized Newcomer Women pilot. This experience has created new meaningful opportunities for them. The pilot project supported and enabled these organizations to improve their capacities for conducting research and measuring participant outcomes. All participating service provider organizations reported increased knowledge about research and the application of these enhanced research skills. They recognized the value of collecting rigorous evidence, not only to demonstrate program success, but also to identify areas for improvements within both the program and other organizational areas. Overall, the Career Pathways for Racialized Newcomer Women pilot has built substantial and valuable research and other capacities of the participating service provider organizations, leading to greater opportunities for their growth.